All right, hello and welcome everybody. I'm Lisa Michaels and I'm super happy to be here today with Christine Brownlee. So Christine's got a very interesting background. I mean, she was 44 years a registered nurse and then she's been a grief coach for 13 years. So she has a very beautiful and specialized skill set. And working with Christine has just been beautiful. She has so many insights. So honestly, Christine, welcome. We're so glad you're here and joining us today.
Thanks, Lisa. It is just such an honor to be here with you today.
Thanks. And I say us, really meaning me and everybody who's going to be listening.
Yes, absolutely. It seems so cozy, just you and I forget
Yeah,
there's others out there.
exactly. So the very first thing I want to know is like, what has your journey been of learning about your own creation team, and what kind of a difference has that made in your life?
Well, the biggest thing that showed up for me was I wish I would have known this a long time ago. When we were doing the creation team and we were doing the inner feminine, the Venus, inner masculine, the Mars, and that they should have a nice little marriage and they should work together. Mine did not years ago. They did not. My Venus Cancer said, oh, stay home with your boys and everything will be wonderful and you can raise your boys. And I was just so happy. But my Pisces Mars said, absolutely not. You are a nurse. You get out there. People need you. So I had this push pull of going to work or staying home with my boys. I worked it out, but not because I knew about the creation team. And when I delved into the creation team later, I thought, if I would have known that at the beginning, I would have known what I needed to do to make my life happy, happy at
Mm-hmm.
home, happy at work. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Less of a big struggle. So,
Mm-hmm.
so, so I know that's been a very important part, that unification of those two. And when you work with other people, like what do you really see makes a difference in terms of grief when you're working with people?
The biggest issue with grief is, and I generally worked with women whose partners have died, husbands' partners have died,
Because yours has,
because
yours did.
mine has.
Yeah,
What do
yeah.
they say? You teach what you need to learn yourself.
Mm.
And that's what I needed. And I did, because I was in training to be a grief coach, I also had coaching for myself, which made a huge difference.
Nice, nice.
And so naturally the person who's grieving, they have the grief and they need relief from that. And they have most times guilt and shame just kind of go hand in hand with grief. I should have done this. I should have been better at this. I should
Mm,
have, if I should have noticed that he wasn't well, that sort of thing.
mm,
And so
mm,
they need to release that guilt and shame. And a lot of times, the elements themselves, they come in together. The ability for water to express their emotions as the emotional element, the air element, all those guilt and shame stuff just racing like socks in a dryer and they can't get one or the other thought out.
mm,
Try to reach in and grab one sock out of the
right,
dryer, and that's what they have difficulty with. And
right.
so it's bringing in the element of air, earth. A lot of times a woman who's grieving, their home just takes a back seat. They
Mm,
have trouble. What are they going to do with all of their partner's stuff? How are they going to manage that? And then the fire element, I've had clients who, I'm still in my pajamas. It's 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and I'm probably going to go back to bed, and they just can't get the action going. They can't. So using that and being aware of that helps them to bring them all together, to work on all four of them, of course, with their own spirit, their own soul energy with that. And then the third piece in the grief coaching is once they have relief from the grief and they've released the guilt and shame. Previously, when I was just doing grief coaching, that was it. We were sort of done, complete. However, every single one of my clients said, I don't know who I am. I
Mm,
was Mrs. So and so. I was with my husband since I was 18 and I'm 57 years old. And I don't know who I am anymore. And I had that after my husband died. He loved Elvis Presley music, just loved it. And I'm driving, and that's what was on the radio. Like that was what it was dialed to. And I thought, why am I listening to that? And I didn't even know what kind of music I liked because it wasn't really important. And I just absorbed what he liked. And they just didn't know who they were anymore. And when we did the creation team with them, it was eye opening because they saw their moon, which is where they've come from, and they saw their rising sign, which is what they've come here to experience, learn, grow into, and then their fastest path, their Jupiter. How can they get there? What's going to help them to get there so that they can reconnect and remember who they are their single individual unique soul. And that's what made the difference, all of them. And that was the piece that was missing with my grief coaching, so that when I came into this program and started incorporating all of these teachings, it made a huge difference, just a huge difference. It was such an added piece.
how beautiful to be able to not only help them let go of the grief, but help them to identify who they are now and where they want to go and to inspire that next part of life. I love that.
It is. I've had clients come to me and say, I'm all good with the grief. I've done all the work with that. I'm fine. I just would like to work on where I'm going. And I'm always like, okay, that's fine. That's good. But the grief and the guilt and the shame are still there. They think they've done the work, and they have done a lot of work, but it's still simmering. It doesn't really go away. It becomes incorporated into who you are.
Yeah. Grief is a big deal. A really, really big deal. Yeah.
It is.
I was doing some inner work a few years ago, and well, the thing we were working with was grief. And I stumbled on this thing that happened when I was 16. And it was a big pocket of grief. I'm like, I had no idea that was even there. Because sometimes in life, we have experiences that bring grief, and we don't have the language about it or the understanding about it. I certainly didn't at 16. I mean, emotional language wasn't even something that was present in my house. So learning about water, learning about feelings, and I mean, I'm not saying I didn't feel, but I didn't have vocabulary around it. I didn't have understanding of what it was and what it could do. So it is such a huge, huge teacher.
It is. And our our society doesn't really want, they want to put the blinders on. They don't really want to look at grief. It makes them very uncomfortable. We don't really, I mean, we don't learn about it in school.
No.
When I first became a nurse years ago in 1977, even then, if a mom went in and had a stillborn baby,
Ah,
the powers that be in the medical facility, it was kind of like, well, you don't want to distress her, so they would sort of just take the baby away, and they didn't always bring the baby, and let you hold them and prepare you that the baby might be a little cool, but you wrap them up and you let them look at them. I have goosebumps just thinking about it.
right, right.
Just push that away. And and I if if you're working and your husband dies, your partner dies, generally you get 5 days bereavement leave. You got 5 days to sort out your life, your feelings, your home, everything else. And yeah, come back to work and be ready to go. Yeah. And people, I I heard a lot from my clients. The thing that upset them the most was people ask them in passing. You're walking into a bank, walking into a post office or whatever, and they see them briefly. Oh, how are things going? And the word they always use is, I'm fine. I'm fine.
Mhm,
And you get
mhm.
so tired of saying that because they don't really want to know that you're holding it
Right,
together by a thin thread.
right.
And I kind of remind them that fine kind of breaks down to and stands for, you know, freaked out, insecure, neurotic, and emotional. That's really
Perfect.
what the fine stands for when you're, as a grieving person, when you say, oh, yeah, I'm fine, everything's fine. Really, that's how you're feeling inside.
Sure, sure. And Christine, I think it is wonderful for people to have somebody to go talk to when they're dealing with grief, because so often people, like the whole fine thing, they want you to get over it, be over it, and move on. And that is not how grief works.
No, and it pops up when you least expect it. Just afraid to go someplace because you don't know you're going to be at the teller at the bank, or you're going to be doing groceries and you're going to be in the lineup and you're going to look at what you purchased and it might be something your husband really loved, and you well up and you think, I don't want to make a spectacle of myself, so they tend to hide away for a little while,
Mhm.
just to, so they're afraid, they're so afraid of breaking down. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And, I can imagine that there's just, I'm going to just use the word, what a magical thing to have somebody that's able to hold space for you when you're deep in grief.
And that's the biggest thing. I've always told my clients when they say something profound or come to some sort of aha moment, and then they go, oh, thank you so much, and it's not me, it's you. They know. We all know deep inside of us what we need, what we want, what's going to help us. We know it, but it's to tease it out and bring it to the surface. And a lot of people say, oh, well, my family's very supportive and that's all I need. I don't need somebody else to help me. It seems a weakness, but they think they have the family support. But the problem there is, number one, your family is grieving that loss as well. And
Yep.
they're having their own issues with that. I had one client who actually was really upset because she said, it was my husband that died, but my sister is carrying on, and that it's as if it was her husband that died. So obviously she wasn't getting a lot of support there either. So you have somebody that's a little more objective, who has some tools, who can hold that safe space for you and let you work through things. And there are lots of tools that I do have that help them to express, see things like, the air element, see things from a different perspective, the speaking, the release of emotions. I
Mm-hmm.
always think it's wonderful if they cry, just
Mm-hmm.
because it is that release, it is that water element, emotional realm that's coming forward and not
Yeah,
being squished down.
yeah, yeah. It's great. It's great. So I've talked to a lot of different people, and certainly over the years, a lot of different kinds of people have come to learn this work, to, be a soul guide, to do coaching with it, integrate it into their work. And you have probably one of the most unique additional layers, which is wonderful. But what I really want to get across is that, and I've had nurses, I've had doctors, I've had psychiatrists, I've had CPAs, I mean, tons of massage therapists. Like, I literally mean all different kinds of jobs that have integrated this understanding into their work. Now, whether they actually do somebody's full creation team reading or not, they may not do that, but just being able to hold the framework and to know how the archetypes might be functioning in somebody is like super important. So no matter who you're talking to, whether it's another nurse or, a grief coach or anybody else, what would you say if they're trying to decide whether to continue to learn this personally or to really become a soul guide? Like, what do you think is important to consider there?
It's something you really need to embrace. You need to be open to it. I know that some people might say, oh, it's a lot of woo woo. And I have a t-shirt that says, don't poo poo the woo woo.
Love it.
Because it's because we we need to realize there's more than just what is surrounding us here, that we are much more than that. We are creative beings. We are children of God. We have so much more to experience. We're here to grow and evolve, and sometimes it can be just so overwhelming. Which way do I go? And so many people don't know who they are. What are the big question? What am I here for? What am I here to learn? And that piece with the creation coaching is so amazing because you really do see that. So I would
Yeah.
say that doing it personally is super important, even if you do, and then make the decision. If you would like to become a soul guide yourself,
Yeah.
you need to do it personally for you. And that's what that's what I did initially. I had no idea I was going to bring this as an added piece to what I was doing. I wanted to learn more about me, and a lot of it was I wanted to learn more about me because I was a widow and had been recently widowed and had been a caregiver for almost 5 years. And I felt lost. I was one of those women who said, I don't know who I am. I don't know what I'm here to do. And maybe I'm barking up the wrong tree. And when I did went into it and did the creation team and did all of that on a personal level, number one, it helped me, and it helped me really see why I am doing what I'm doing, why I went into nursing, why that was something that was important to me, and what I'm coming here to experience and grow into. But then I also saw how it would help me
Yeah.
further in what I was doing. And so I would say experience it for yourself personally. Just do it personally. And with the thought, no expectations of doing anything more, no pressure that you need to become. If you take it personal, the personal element aspect of it, you need to get into it as a soul guide. Just go in with an open heart, an open mind, learn about yourself. And then if you would like to carry on because you see yourself really growing further, then that's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, beautiful. So there's a lot of ways somebody could do that. They could go have a session with a soul guide. I mean, like connect with
Mhm.
Christine and have a session and learn your creation team. You can read the book, Your Soul Prosperity Code. You can start learning the elements with the Oracle or with the book Nature's Creation Alchemy, or take a class with Christine or with one of the soul guides. I mean, there's a lot of different pathways. So all of them are super, super helpful. So anything you want to say in closing, Christine?
This has made an unbelievable difference in my life to
Mm,
be taking this, to have done the course personally, and then to work with people. As an example, I had a client, widow. We did her creation team. It was wonderful. She's had a lot of insights. But then we did her deceased husband's creation team. And she was absolutely blown away. She had lots of release of tears, a lot of release of emotions, and she came, things like, that's why he did this. This is why he said this. This is why this was important for him. It was like she really got to know him and she had a better appreciation. Did it make her miss him more? Yes, it did. But it was a really heartfelt, I really feel like I understand you. And that was that was something I did not expect. And so it just showed me that there are so many opportunities and so many ways this can make a difference in people's lives.
Wow, wow, that's beautiful, 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 beautiful. I just want to deeply thank you for taking the time to share with me and with everybody who's going to be listening. I just, I feel so enriched by our conversation. So thank you, thank you, thank you. And everybody, again, reach out, connect to Christine, and until we meet again, take care. Alrighty, bye. Thanks, Christine.